Welcome back. Well, the Baltimore Orioles are in first place in the AL East. They signed their first-round draft pick, and things are looking up. Well, kind of, sort of. They still have a lot of things they need to sort out before they can see October. We're here with John Meoli, beat writer for the Baltimore Sun. Now, John, Cody Sellock was a first-rounder. They signed him very, very quickly. What can you tell us about him, and how long will we see him in the farm system before he gets that call-up?
He seems like one of the surer picks that they've made in the last few years. There's been a lot of analysts who have looked at the Orioles draft and kind of scratched their heads recently, but Sedlock is a guy that a lot of people like. He's got a relatively young arm. This is a kid who's not really going to let himself not make it and not make it quickly. If they want to be really aggressive, they could start him in Frederick to start 2017, and all of a sudden, you're on the fast track at that point.
Now, on to some things they need to fix. Their pitching rotation, for one. They are ranked 4th worst in the MLB. This team is scrambling with wins, and their pitchers are barely hanging on. We all know there's no postseason with terrible pitching, so what can they do to change it around before it's too late?
There's around 6-7 weeks before the trade deadline, and I think that they're at a point now where they're kind of realizing what everyone was afraid of all year. This pitching staff is not going to hold up. There's going to be 2-3 weeks of just plugging holes. You can let Ubaldo Jimenez start a game here and there. They might call up other minor league guys that they're interested in just to see if they could do it for 1 or 2 starts. The problem is there's going to be a really expensive and costly in terms of prospects. So then you're talking about, if you're going out and trading even 1 or 2 impact pieces, are you getting someone back who's going to be able to help? And that's going to be the balance.
Now, the All-Star break is less than a month away, and the second half obviously matters the most. That's when teams really start kicking it into high gear. If they stay in first place, what can they change in the second half, if anything, to make sure they end the season AL East champions?
Well, I think that'll be when you see if there's any kind of major shakeup in the rotation. The big West Coast road trip coming up before the break, and then they have a big divisional road trip right after the break. Those are going to be big, but you're going to see a team that I think by that point is really going to need those days to just kind of let some of those bullpen guys that are relying on rest and let the starters get a breather. And then you really see how the rotation sets up, how they're going to want to line up the pitchers, how they're going to want to start deploying the bullpen, whether those guys get different roles. So I think it'll be mostly with the pitching staff. Do you see any big changes if you do?
All right, thank you, John. Well, the Orioles look pretty decent out there, but they don't quite look like a championship team. They have the hitting. They just need the pitching to back them up. But anything can happen because there is a ton of baseball left to be played. Well, we're going to take one last commercial break, but coming up next, everyone's favorite segment, the top plays of the week, are just around the corner. Stick around.
This is Prez Nichols, quarterback for Law High School, and you're watching Delmarva Sports Insider.